An interesting challenge that theists have offered to atheists is this: provide evidence that there is no God and that atheism is correct. An interesting challenge to be sure, because it reveals more about the person presenting the challenge than it does about the existence of any deity. Just for the record, and those who care and know the difference, I'll be arguing for negative and weak atheism. Now, in the first video I ever produced on YouTube, I listed a bunch of tools that theists use in debates with atheists. One of those is evasion, which is when someone ducks a question and tries to steer the conversation elsewhere. It looks a lot like what I'm doing now, talking about evasion, rather than providing proof that God doesn't exist. Usually this is the point where theists say that they've won, and that the atheists are ducking and weaving. It looks like I'm guilty of breaking one of my own rules. But hold on a second, because the challenge broke one of my rules first. There's another tool that theists use, and that is the word game. And that's exactly what this challenge is. Congratulations! You've made a word game that can't be lost. But your word game doesn't prove anything. Not even that your faith is valid, and it actually goes against you in the larger scheme of things. With this question, you've won a battle, but you've lost the war. You see, faith is a very fragile thing, and I often picture a theist's faith as if it were protected by castle walls. There are a lot of different angles for faith to be attacked from, and what a theist needs to do to preserve that faith is to shut the doors to keep the attacks out. Well, this challenge is an attempt to shut one of those doors. Your faith is perfectly protected from your God being disproved, and you've proved this with this challenge. Unfortunately, you just opened up all of the other doors to your fortress. The reason why your challenge is a word game is that it asks for the impossible. You cannot prove a nothing. A more sophisticated way of saying it without the double negative is, it is impossible to positively prove a negative. Yes, your God is safe from being proven to be nothing. However, what you've just done is justify every single God out there that humans have conceived and many that they haven't. Now every single religion is valid. Cthulhu is as valid as Allah. Osiris is as valid as Lord Xenu. The flying spaghetti monster is as valid as Yahweh. Since we can't disprove any of these gods, you've just opened the floodgates onto your faith. Sure, we can't disprove your God, but now you have to argue why your God exists and prove why all the other gods don't exist, which is impossible. Your challenge to us has just invited your faith to be spread to Gaia, Techesis, Quetzalcoatl, Kratos, the Force, Lord Xenu, Zeus, the Lords of Kobol, Shiva, Ra, Thor, and every other single god ever mentioned or will be mentioned. So go ahead and prove to me that your God exists with this word game, but before you do, prove that none of those other gods exist. Hey, you made your bed, now sleep in it. The word game you've just pulled isn't even clever. Atheists have already created a few of their own impossible to disprove arguments to show you how silly this kind of challenge is. We've got Russell's teapot, the invisible pink unicorn, and the flying spaghetti monster. You can't disprove any of them either. So go ahead and throw them into the mix of things you now believe. Here's a quote from Bertrand Russell about the necessity of his teapot, because he sums up the situation nicely. Many orthodox people speak as though it were the business of skeptics to disprove received dogmas, rather than of the dogmatics to prove them. This is, of course, a mistake. If I were to suggest that between Earth and Mars there is a China teapot revolving around the sun in an elliptical orbit, nobody would be able to disprove my assertion, provided I were careful to add that the teapot is too small to be revealed even by our most powerful telescopes. But if I were to go on and say that since my assertion cannot be disproved, it is intolerable presumption on the part of human reason to doubt it, I should rightly be thought to be talking nonsense. If, however, the existence of such a teapot were affirmed in ancient books, taught as the sacred truth every Sunday, and instilled into the minds of children at school, hesitation to believe in its existence would become a mark of eccentricity, and entitle a doubter to the attentions of the psychiatrist in an enlightened age, or of the inquisitor in an earlier time. In short, what he's saying is that it's foolish to believe in something until that something is disproved, but religion seems to be a special case for no other reason than that it is religion. It's a nice bit of circular reasoning. There is no proof that a genie won't grant you 3 wishes as long as you willingly burn down your house first. I suppose you should get some matches. There is no proof that God survived a heart attack back in 1971. I suppose you should build a gravesite. There is no proof that gravity won't cease to exist tomorrow and will all be flung off the face of the earth. I suppose you better get yourself some duct tape. Luckily for all of humankind, we don't believe things until they are disproven. With the exception of religion, of course. We wait until things are proven, and then we believe them. with the exception of religion, of course. This word game you're pulling is an example of where religion gets it all wrong and the rest of the world gets it all right. In the real world, we have science to prove processes, relationships between objects, existence of the previously unknown, and many other discoveries. When a truth is discovered, that truth is tested and verified. Never are personal feelings consulted when verifying the truth, just evidence and proof and facts. If the truth in question is ever proven wrong, we get rid of it. This is mankind's best and most honest search for truth in the world, and it looks nothing like religion. Religion is the exact opposite. It shuns and badmouths verification. It refuses to be tested, and the few times it is, it fails. It relies not on evidence or proof or facts, but on gut feelings. It never provides any proof to its validity. It relies solely on dogmas that are not peer-reviewed or verified. It hides behind word games that force a favorable conclusion. In every way possible, religion looks like a lie that refuses to be inspected in the way that we verify truth. The real world works with evidence coming before belief. This is why the United States has a policy in the courtrooms that the prosecuted must be proven a criminal to be pronounced guilty, rather than proven not a criminal to be pronounced innocent. How many offenses can you prove your innocence in? Think of all the traffic tickets you'd be not innocent of, since you have no proof that you weren't speeding, that you weren't weaving around drunkenly, that you weren't tailgating another driver. How many offenders could a gas station owner prosecute when one candy bar goes missing? Do you have proof that you didn't steal a candy bar? Do you see how perverted this kind of thinking is? Shall we all pause a moment and wonder why this challenge relies on this very kind of thinking? So I'm done evading your word game. For the first part of your challenge, I admit defeat. I can't disprove your God. But since we're playing word games today, I have a question for you as well. You see, I have received this challenge from a Scientologist, a Muslim, a Hindu, and a Christian. I lost the challenge all 4 times, I guess. This means that I lose my part of the tournament, so either Scientology is correct, Christianity is correct, Islam is correct, or Hinduism is correct. Here's my question for you theists. Can you disprove the deities of the other religions? For the second part of your challenge, I claim victory. Unless, of course, you could disprove all those other deities, ghosts, fairies, leprechauns, whatever, then you know why atheism is the correct choice. You are an atheist to all the other gods out there. I doubt my word game convinced you to believe in every single god. Without proof, belief in anything that requires your total, unquestioning obedience is wrong.